I have played the Overwatch 2 beta for about 15, 20 hours now. Let's talk about Overwatch 2. It's been about 4 years since I've posted any Overwatch content to the channel. To preface this video, the last time I actually played Overwatch before this was probably the same amount of time, 4 years, when the seasons were still in the single digits, I think, and I was floating somewhere around Diamond. A lot of the things that I'm going to reference are based on that time, so if things got updated since then, my bad. Before we start, I'm not going to be talking about the situation involving Activision or Blizzard, mainly because outside of some very overarching details, I don't really know enough to speak on it. I'm just going to be talking about the game. It's some pretty terrible stuff. I don't think anyone is really going to say otherwise, but it's, been discussed by people much smarter than I many times over. A lot of people asking about Overwatch 2. It's all the same characters. It's all the same maps. Why are they making it 2? This looks like the same as Overwatch 1. And yeah, it basically is. Overwatch 2 PvP as of right now has one significant change in that the game is now 5v5 instead of 6v6. They took out a tank. Otherwise, Overwatch 2 basically feels like what Overwatch 1 would have eventually become over a series of balance patches and updates. Why did they decide to make an Overwatch 2 then? I don't know. I'm guessing it was likely something with Activision, given all of the issues that have transpired over the past couple of years. I know a lot of people are going to draw parallels to Destiny 1 versus Destiny 2, but that's something that I think is a bit more accepted as being okay. That's because Bungie was planning on phasing out the older consoles, which imposed a lot of limitations on development. Although, guess who else was under that same Activision umbrella when we went from Destiny 1 to Destiny 2? I don't know the specifics, but either way, hopefully you get what I'm trying to say. I'm only going to be speaking about the PvP portion of the game because I don't think anything has been said on the PvE portion, which is the entire point of Overwatch 2, it seems like. If you own the original Overwatch, then I believe you'll be able to play Overwatch 2 PvP at no cost at all. It's basically like you're just updating the game to the most recent patch. And I'm guessing all of your stuff will carry over as well. I had a bunch of my old stuff in the beta from Overwatch 1, so yeah. So what has actually changed? Again, it's 5v5 with one tank getting removed. A big part of the teamfight experience when I was playing Overwatch was shooting shields. And a lot of them. Shield stacking was a huge thing at some point during the game. I'm sure it was around for a while. I just can't say how long because I stopped playing forever ago. The biggest difference with Overwatch 2 is the complete annihilation of shields and their total health. Ryan's shield used to be 2,000. Forgive me if it was changed over time. It's now only 1,200. And that's the strongest one, I believe. Orisa was completely reworked. She doesn't even have a shield anymore. And with one fewer tank, you're not only fighting against weaker shields, but a fewer amount of them as well. So more time is actually spent fighting and poking instead of spamming shields, which I did really enjoy. Doomfist is now a tank. Not really sure how that'll do in the grand scheme, but that happened. All of the tanks got some adjustments in some way, namely that they all have more health and some better cooldowns or new abilities. Again, Orisa no longer has her shield and her ultimate was changed, and she got 2 new abilities. She can throw a spear to impale someone for big damage if they hit a wall, or use it to deflect, or spin up her ultimate where she pulls everyone towards her and then charges up and unleashes an attack. Orisa seems to be one of the better picks right now as far as tanks go, in my opinion. She can do a lot versus someone like Zarya, who literally got no changes, it feels like. She only has a couple of shields as her abilities, one for her, one for someone else, and that's it. Tanks like Winston, who never really felt like main tank material, feel like they need a cast that supports their playstyle, which is diving in as a group, or needs to face a team that allows someone like Winston to dive the enemy team to create space without instantly dying, because if you mess up your shield as Winston, you're basically dead. Roadhog is another tank that didn't really get any changes to their kit, but they now need to fulfill a main tank role, and it never really felt like they were able to make that happen in the games that I was playing way back when. Damage dealers didn't get as much of an adjustment. Mei is one that did. She can no longer fully freeze people with her gun, but her gun deals much more damage as a result. The spray, not the icicle. Soldier 76's gun no longer has any spread. It just has recoil that kicks in after a few shots, I think. I've been told that Soldier isn't actually completely busted by people who are far better than I, but wow, do I think Soldier is just really strong for how easy he is to play and being a hit scan. McCree is now Cole Cassidy as a result of the Activision and Blizzard situation. Doesn't have a flashbang stun anymore, instead has a short range sticky grenade which deals some good damage when you get a stick. Sojourn is a new character, can slide around and has a railgun for an instant high damage shot, along with an okay primary fire gun, but I still think Soldier is much better, at least at my level anyway. Bastion also got switched around. His ultimate is a mortar strike, and he can go into tank mode as a regular cooldown where it lasts for 8 seconds. I also think Bastion is quite strong for how easy he is to play, again, at my skill level, compared to other damage dealers. I don't think people are respecting how much damage he can put out as the tank. Sombra also got some adjustments. She can stay invis forever now and hack while invisible, I think. But the effects of hacking have been toned down a bit. Hit scan DPS in general just feels so strong right now because there aren't as many shields to block everything that you're sending out. Soldier just feels better to me than someone like Ashe or Cole because my aim is not very good with semi-auto, and semi-auto aiming while you're missing is much more punishing than full auto. I don't know why this is the case, but there is so much more splitting up than I feel like there ever was in Overwatch 1. I'm guessing this is maybe because there are fewer tanks on the field or something. Like, you can't really stop the flanks as easily because there's one less person looking out for them, and there's fewer shields to stop the flanks in general from happening. Maybe it's the map design, but I was frequently in situations where people were having 2 different fights at the same time, sometimes 3 different fights at the same time. DPS were flanking so much more than I ever felt was happening in Overwatch 1. And now that I'm thinking about it, it's maybe the new maps that are allowing for a lot of flanking opportunities. Maybe because they're just not figured out yet. Maybe there's just more opportunities for flanking in these new maps. There's also a lot less crowd control happening. I'm not constantly being stunned or anything like that, which is pretty nice. Supports, on the other hand, don't feel like they got a whole hell of a lot of anything. In fact, if you told me that supports got no changes, I would call you a liar, because all supports have their health regenerate automatically now, which is great because supports don't get as much peel without another tank around. But if you told me that they got no other changes, then I would believe you, because I don't really know what healers got with Overwatch 2. They have fewer targets to heal, so maybe they just didn't need a whole lot of stuff, but that side of the game has not changed at all. At least that was my experience. I'm sure there's plenty of other changes as well. These are just the ones that I've noticed the most. There are some new maps, which are fine. I haven't played enough on them to develop any strong feelings one way or the other. There's also another game mode called, I think it's literally called Push. I was just going to call it Push, but I think it's actually called Push. Essentially, whichever team is closest to the robot pushes it forward towards the goal, and the team that pushed the robot the farthest wins. This mode is very punishing to slower characters or those with very limited movement. So as a Zen player, these maps sucked to play. And that's because the spawns are static. So if you're winning and the robot is super far ahead, the run back to your team is awful. And if your team dies while you're running out there, you're probably just going to get caught and then you'll die again. Otherwise, I feel like it's kind of hard to make a comeback on this game type if one team gets out to an early lead. But this is just a very early first impression of the mode. They also got rid of the 2CP, the 2 checkpoint maps. People really did not like 2CP, and Blizzard said bye-bye, and I can't really say that I miss it at all. Overwatch now finally has a scoreboard. Imagine that. Medals are gone. Here's a scoreboard. Elims, assists, deaths, healing, and damage done. Finally. It's a little wonky to read because of how some of the information is displayed. I think it can definitely be improved, but it is about time. People are going to be jerks about stats and this info no matter how you end up presenting it, but I would just much rather have full stats than medals. Overall, though, playing Overwatch now elicits the same feelings that I had when I played way back when. On the surface, it is the Overwatch you remember. While there are some subtleties in Overwatch 2 that change things up compared to Overwatch 1, I imagine most people who play Overwatch 2 will feel similar to me. It's Overwatch. Picture Overwatch in your mind. You got it. Don't alter that first draft at all. It's just like that. I don't have much else to offer. It's still as exhilarating and as frustrating as it was whenever you may have stopped playing it. You're going to find the exact same people playing the game doing the exact same things that they were doing. The PvP of Overwatch 2 is a giant balance update with some maps added and some quality of life changes and adjustments. There were some lighting updates. I think there were some sound tweaks as well. But on the surface, it seems like nothing happened at all. It's all those smaller, more subtle details that other more dedicated players are going to appreciate more. And I don't think the quality of the game has gone down in any way at all. Like, the game didn't get worse. Now, how much better it got, couldn't really tell you, but some people I know who are far more dedicated to Overwatch than I say that it's better. And I'm going to take their word for it because they know more than I would. But also, for the PvP side of things anyway, what were people expecting? Change for the sake of change? It's Overwatch. The game knows what it is. The formula was not going to change. It's still a hero shooter with the same objectives and the same gameplay and the same, all that stuff. I don't know what people were really hoping for when it came to the PvP side of the game. Obviously, that's contributing to a lot of the, it just looks like Overwatch 1 opinions that are being thrown around. But also, yeah, that's kind of because it still is. It was probably never supposed to have a sequel to begin with, which is likely part of the problem. If this was just Overwatch, the big update, no one would really be saying anything. The bulk of the 2 portion of Overwatch 2 is going to be the PvE side of the game, but considering we've heard basically nothing about that, as far as I know, not a whole lot to go on. I have no idea when Overwatch 2 will actually launch. My money is sometime in 2023. They could very realistically release the PvP side of the game this year. The beta didn't feel super incomplete to me in terms of how the sandbox feels and all that. It's mainly all the other features from Overwatch 1 that they would need to make sure are working and are incorporated properly and all that. But I'm guessing they probably want to launch both at the same time. I could see them having Overwatch 2 PvP being in an active beta state where people can just log on and play until the game actually launches. But again, I have no idea what they're doing with the launch because I don't think anybody does. So yeah, that's all I got. Hit me with your Overwatch 2 opinions. If you've played a whole bunch of the beta, let me know. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.